On any given day, in any given Rust server, there is an interaction that has happened for years on end. A player types in chat asking if anyone would like to team up, and I'm sure you have already guessed the next chat message that appears. How many hours? This one phrase can have long-lasting implications, but the question is, do hours really matter in Rust? You more than likely have heard of the 10,000 hour rule from Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers. As Gladwell states, once someone has compiled 10,000 hours of practice, they will have mastered the complex skills required for the subject. The question is, does this include Rust? And the answer might not be what you expect. With the update of the recoil system, the game is more available now than ever to newer players. However, many of these newer players will not be on as fair of a playing field as they might expect. The skill gaps in Rust are as wide as they come, and you must know how to build properly, how to run monuments efficiently, how to raid at minimum cost, and how to be able to read and recognize situations that are beneficial or hindering your progress. A seasoned Rust veteran can run the map and easily spot a new player who is built up in the area. Their base designs make minimal sense and are generally not including the core features of any well-designed base. In Rust, there is a base triangle, which includes strength, aka a strong protected core, maneuverability, and defendability. It is almost unheard of to make a base that ticks all three of these boxes. There are two general base designs in Rust currently, the online defense and the offline defense. The online defense prioritizes maneuverability and defendability. This type of base design will have multiple entrances, multiple roof accesses, multiple shooting floors, turrets, and SAM sites. The focus of this base is to defend against online raids and is generally built by larger groups who are trying to attract people for a fight. Whereas the offline base defense design focuses strictly on making your base as strong as possible in the core, making it as expensive as possible to get your main loot. Core features include multiple layers of honeycomb, pancake layers, and generally bunkers. Bases like this are typically built in well-hidden areas further away from monuments to attract minimal attention. A new player will know how to build neither of these, and generally won't even put an airlock on their base to prevent from people going deep on them for zero explosives. For this skill gap, the advantage remains with the Rust veterans. However, it is very simple to avoid this gap as a new player, by taking another veteran's base design until you can come up with one for yourself. Players like Willjum are always innovating the game with their non-conforming base designs. However, even Willjum has succumbed to the meta on some aspects. Monuments and Rust are their own beast for new players. Not only do you have to figure out the green, blue, and red card systems on your own, but there is also a plethora of hidden puzzles inside of monuments. Take the launch site, for example. A majority of players who go to that monument are not completing the jump puzzle out of sheer difficulty. While Rust has made changes to these systems over time, see the dome jump, which was removed. There are still hurdles that every new player must first learn and then overcome. The advantage here still remains with a Rust veteran. When it comes to the endgame of Rust, there is only one, raiding your number one enemies, and in my personal opinion, this is where the biggest skill gap in Rust lies currently. A veteran player will see a base spring up near them and instantly go to gather information, such as where the TC is this a bunker, are there any glaring weaknesses, and so on. Raiding in Rust is all about taking the path of least resistance, and sadly, being able to build well helps a veteran player recognize weaknesses and the shortest path to raid. Again, the advantage still remains with the veteran players. Now you might be saying, Zaby, what is going on here? You said the answer might not be what we expect. This final skill gap changes everything. Being able to recognize advantageous or detrimental positions is not a skill reserved to Rust veterans. It's a skill reserved to any shooter player. What people fail to realize in Rust is that hours translate. A 10,000 hour player in CSGO will generally have pretty good aim. A 10,000 hour player in a battle royale will generally have amazing positional awareness and back themselves out of any situation that isn't beneficial. The recoil change has allowed all of these players to flourish more so now than ever. The major problem with the old recoil in Rust is it completely discouraged new players from learning the game. They would lose every gunfight to someone who has put in hundreds of hours into learning the old recoil patterns. However, more so now than ever, new players are beginning to thrive on servers, and all it took was one small change that a majority of the community hated, even though this isn't the first time recoil has been changed. Any longtime FPS player will be able to translate their abilities into gunplay, movement, and positioning to swing advantages back to their favor. The major skill gap when it comes to hours is now small, minute aspects of the game that are easily learned within a very small amount of time. Simply taking a base design off of YouTube will generally teach you the core mechanics of building a noob-friendly base, which can then be applied to later base builds. As for monuments, well, do them once and you know how to. Watch a video on the puzzle and fail many times until you can complete it most times. So the question still stands, do hours actually matter in Rust? Sadly, the answer still remains yes. However, new Rust players who are veterans of shooters or other survival games will have a massive advantage over a brand new player with minimal experience in either. So with that being said, next time you're judging a new player for their hours, just remember, they might surprise you. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe and like it. And if you think I missed something, please elaborate on the skill gap in the comments below, and it might make it into a future video. This has been Zaby, and remember, don't get deep.